record is on. And actually I made the mistake and I'm recording to my computer instead of to the cloud, but that won't matter. All it means is that I have to take an extra step. No big deal. Okay, so, well, let's start with the word of prayer and then we'll go through a little agenda and I'll answer some questions and we'll take the afternoon and go through some stuff together. So let's pray. Dear God Almighty, it's with a lot of excitement that I come to this hour to talk about human resources. It is a topic that I enjoy so much, and I hope that this time we spend in the next month will be inspirational to the students and something that will be very useful to them as they become employees and as they become supervisors and managers throughout their careers. Lord, I ask you to guide this time that we spend together. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. So, I think I'm going to just share my screen and let's see. Yeah. I wanted to give you guys an overview. So there are 8 of you in the online version and Nina is all by herself in the class version. And I asked them to join it so you guys can all participate together. And for some reason, they've taken their time doing it. So right now, when Mina does the discussion, I'm going to be discussing with her until they join it. And hopefully by tomorrow, it will be worked out and we'll figure it out. But right now, you guys won't be seeing Mina in your space. And anyway, we'll have to do something so that Mina can participate during the week with you. But within a couple days, hopefully they get that worked out and Mina will be participating with everybody. So when I saw that it was really heavy in that in the online direction, I made some quick adjustments. And then there's some other things that happened, like Dr. Trecarton is going to Pacific Union College to be the president out in California. And July 1st, he starts in California. So his days at Andrews are very numbered. Next week, Tuesday might be his last day with us. So I am stepping in as interim dean. And so my schedule has gone a little crazy. And as I was trying to figure out how to manage everything, I made some major revamping to this course, still wanting to do some really good, fun face-to-face, and yet giving you the flexibility of an online class and maintaining that balance. So hopefully we have a really good time. And I put the 2 live sessions to give us an opportunity to talk and to look at current stuff and to make the class more interactive and fun. And yet in an online environment, you are not required, like your grade will not suffer if you cannot be here live. So what I've done is the skill exercises, all the directions for every skill exercise is already online. You could do every single one of those on your own time and upload them, but you will have to write 400 words for each assignment, which is about 2 to 3 pages, double spaced. Okay, depending on how you write, whatever, about 2 pages, 2 full pages, which is excessive. But if you do them live, you will be going into groups, talking about them, coming back and reporting. And there may occasionally be things that you write down. Mostly it will be verbal and interactive. So if you do the skill exercises live, hopefully it will be more interactive and fun and less writing. So that's my incentive, to get you guys to show up and have more fun. But if you can't, that's fine, do the writing, okay? Not as a punishment, but as an alternative. Hopefully it didn't come across as a real punishment. So I put, please go in here and write introductions of each of yourselves, and I'll put an introduction of myself as well. I did record an introduction where I explained the syllabus in very lengthy detail. Please review that, because today I'm going to give you like a highlights, very, very fast overview of the syllabus. So I do expect you to go and listen to that syllabus. So here's our weekly flow. And when this week ends, I will move this chunk to the next week, so it's always in front of us, okay? So this is an intensive, so there are components that are due every single day. So every day by midnight, you have a quiz, including today. And nobody has taken the quiz yet, except for Mina. I saw Mina took the quiz in the other space, but in this space, no one has taken the quiz yet. So please take the quiz, and chapter 1 lecture is already on here. So I got up super early and recorded the lectures this morning for the rest of the week. And did not hit record. So I talked to myself for 2 hours this morning. And I'm going to have to talk to myself for 2 hours again, because I didn't hit the record button. Really hated myself for that this morning. But anyway, someone had a question?
You are talking about the quizzes. I think they are not open.
Serious?
Yes, I tried to take the quiz, but just back to the course button that I can find.
Okay. Well, I put you guys into the groups in a little bit for the skills exercise. I will try to figure that out. Mina, you took yours, right? And it worked.
Yes, I did. It worked.
So yours is in the other space and it worked. So I'll explore that and figure it out. Because, oh shoot. None of the dates transferred. Look at that, guys. It says July 14.
Oh.
What a pain. So when I copied it over to this from Mina's class, because I created it all in Mina's space, when I copied it over to here, none of the dates transferred. Yep, all the assignments. Oh my goodness. Okay. So that means I have to go one by one and change all the assignment dates. Thank you for pointing that out. Again, I will at least fix these while you guys are in the skills exercise, because that's quick to do a few of them. But thank you. I just glanced at it and I can't tell the difference between June and July these days. I looked at it, I'm like, oh, it's right. So I'll fix that, thank you. Okay, so each day you guys have a quiz. There are 18 quizzes, I will drop 3. Take them in advance. There will be no makeup. If you take all 18, you will get 3 of them as extra credit. Okay? The only exception is if you get ill and you have a doctor's note. That's going to be the only exception, is a medical emergency. Okay? Mondays and Wednesdays, we have the live Zoom at 3. We will be doing the skills exercises. I will have an occasional guest speaker, I hope. I've asked 3 guest speakers and I'm waiting for yeses. And then I'll have some extra things as well that I want to point out. Like today, I want to talk a little bit more about sexual harassment. Let's see. Yeah, so I put here 500 word. I said 400, but it's 500 word if you cannot be here live. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, the discussion forum. On Tuesday, so what you're gonna do is every week, you're gonna look at the topics for that week and you're gonna find something current and you're gonna talk about that. You're gonna introduce your current topic and other people by Thursday need to comment. So by midnight on Tuesday, you need to bring to the table something current in that week's table of contents, okay? And so your original post should be 250 words. And then when you respond to 2 classmates, you should be responding with a minimum of 150 words. And then on Fridays, there are assignments due and they're focused around the 2 case studies and the research paper. So that's the flow. I would like us to do the skill exercise. Should not take very long. I'm gonna give us like 10 minutes in breakout room for you guys to talk about that. Come back and discuss it for 2 or 3 minutes. Then we'll talk about the discussion forum, the research paper, and then we'll close with a discussion about sexual harassment, which is chapter 2, okay? So the skill exercise, any questions before I move forward?
Professor, how long are the quizzes?
They're 5 questions, multiple choice, and you have 2 attempts. So if you miss a question, you can retake it. And it is set to take the highest score. Okay, so the skill exercise is about Tyco International. Tyco International, you can Google it. It was closed down for some unethical practices. So you can do a brief read about it, but really focus once you get an idea of why it got closed down. This is a scenario that really happened. Once the crisis happened and they had to change over the top leadership, the HR director had to make some big changes and some big issues. So I want you guys to discuss in groups these 3 questions and then report back, okay? So you can log into to your Learning Hub so that you guys have these questions in front of you. And I am going to stop share right now so that I can put you guys into, I'm going to put you into 2 groups and assign automatically into 2 breakout rooms. And I'll give you guys 10 minutes to discuss it, okay? And in the meantime, while you're doing that, I'm going to start fixing those dates on the quizzes. Okay, any questions?
I have a question. Should we take a
Yes.
note for the questions and submit on the Learning Hub? Or
No, we're gonna do this. If you come live, we're just talking about it, and I'll keep track that you guys were live, and I will put a grade in.
Okay.
Those who are not live will have to write things out. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. So you should have, so there's 4 in one room, 3 in the other one. I've opened the rooms. You should be getting an invitation. One more side. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
She shook off a piece that was, I guess, like smeared my wall. So she sat down right off the bat. It's well. You want me to go with it? I want you.
Okay. So, what did we discover? Which group wants to talk first?
We can talk if it's better for everyone.
Okay, go for it.
Mitchie, feel free to jump in. So we found that she changed. She like helped with a new ethics policy, changed how the bonus system worked, the compensation system, to move away from acquisitions towards something that actually can save the company money, and then worked on talent retention and developing talent of the internal employees.
Mm-hmm.
Well, group one, we also noticed that she coordinated ethics training for all the employees, and it's 25,000 managers. And then she also recommended disciplinary action against anyone who violated these codes. Yeah.
And in addition to our group, my group with Matthew and James, I also want to add that she changed the basic function of the human resource management in planning, organizing, staffing, leading, and controlling.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So this happened 15 or so years ago, right? Can it happen again?
Yeah.
Or have organizations put things in place so that corporate theft can no longer happen like this? Are those days over?
I don't think they're over. There's always companies with cultures that need to be reworked.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what role do you think HR plays in the culture of a company? Oh, and who is SF? I have a student online whose name shows up as SF.
It's James.
James? Okay. And John, what is your last name?
It's Wong.
Okay.
When? Wong, yeah.
Wong. Okay. So I worked 2 different summers in college, internships in HR. One was for Jack Welch. Have you guys heard of Jack Welch?
No.
He was a very famous CEO for General Electric. And he was a revolutionary in corporate America. And the company that I worked for, I worked for General Electric in Madison, Wisconsin. And he came in and pretty much at the beginning, before the beginning of the summer, before I was hired for the summer, he said, turn this plant around or I'm closing it in October. And the reason he said that was that employee theft was so high that that plant was losing an incredible amount of money. So basically, theft was so high that there was no shame. Employees would bring their pickup trucks back up to the warehouse and pick up any refrigerator, washer and dryer, you know, whatever equipment they wanted from the warehouse, they backed up to the warehouse and the employees loaded it up for you. And you drove off with free equipment. And he said, okay, it has to stop. And so HR instituted, well, first of all, HR fired every single employee that worked in the warehouse. It did not matter how good you were, how honest or dishonest, they did not care. Every person who worked in the warehouse was gone. Because they said they could not have one person left that had participated or even watched in silence as the theft had occurred. And they brought in a whole new crew of people. They installed cameras, they installed high security, new computer, new inventory systems, and said, people will be fired on the spot if anything goes missing. Zero tolerance. And then in the office side, they instituted a very high reward system where you got GE bucks. And so any employee could like turn you in for kudos, say, hey, I saw Matthew doing something really good. I saw Michi doing something really good. And you could say what you did. And you would earn $1, $5, it was something really amazing, $10. And you could accumulate those dollars and then go cash them in for products. And so when they hired me for the summer, my job was to do rah, and help transform that culture. And so I would go deliver, I was the college student worker. So I would go deliver the GE bucks all over the company and make the fanfare and, organize the oh, so-and-so is at $100, so-and-so is at $500, and try to get people really excited. And HR got frustrated that no one was showing up at the store, the brand new, beautiful store, to cash in their GE dollars. And so they sent me out to go question, why aren't you checking, why aren't you cashing in your GE dollars? And what we discovered was that the employees decided they already had all this stuff because they had stolen it. Okay. They didn't need any more stuff. What they had decided was that it was more prestigious to wallpaper their cubicle with GE bucks than to go cash it in. So you had these cubicles and they had stapled their dollars all over, and they wanted to be the first one to have, because they were coming to me and asking me, can I turn 5 $1 to $5? And they would bring, $5, and they would want a $20. And we had made $100. And then they were coming to us and saying, can you trade these into 100? And so I had to make a $100 bill. And they were like in a self-competition to be the first cubicle, the first person to line their cubicle with $100 GE bucks. And so they'd come up with their own culture, their own system, instead of cashing it in for product that gave them merit and built up their own system. So HR has a lot of responsibility in building up what will be the culture of that organization, but it has to be mirrored and promoted and engaged by the highest level of the organization. So whatever HR says and promotes in the company, the employees have to see the top level of the organization live. And if the CEO, the C-suite is not living that, the employees will not follow. So that becomes like the most powerful message in the process. Any questions? Comments?
So how did you resolve that situation?
We decided to make a big fanfare about the wallpaper. And we started promoting that instead of the store. We didn't close the store, but since the wallpapering the cubicles was what the employees wanted, we started posting pictures of, the stores. We started of the cubicles. I made the $100 bill. We had a little company newsletter. So I posted in there the first person to get a $100 bill. We posted the first person to get $500. And so then we just really went with the culture of telling the stories of who is doing good. And so we just built that up as the culture since nobody wanted the other part. And we just let the store be there and ignored it. And we figured at some point when GE came out with new products that were really interesting, people would have an interest in it. But people weren't interested in what, in the normal stuff that had been around for a while. So yeah, it was just very, very fascinating to go through that. And at the time, I had no idea how famous of a CEO Jack Welch was. Like I saw him come in the office, I saw him visit, and it was several years later that I found out how much of a CEO celebrity he was. So it was really cool when I found out, like there's books written about him. He wrote a book about his management style, etc. And at the time I was just a student who had no idea how important this guy was. He was just doing his thing and visiting the office and telling us, straighten up or I'm closing you guys down. And we had to hop. So pretty interesting. The discussion forums. So I was able, while you guys were in your groups, I changed the dates for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I'll keep working on the other dates. The interesting thing is when I imported all the assignments, it changed everything to the right date, but to July instead of June. So go figure. So the discussion forums, when you look at discussion forum for tomorrow, it is going to ask you, there are 3 links, and one link is podcasts, the top HR podcasts. Another link is trends, and a third link is the top HR newsletters. And I'm asking you guys to subscribe to a certain number of current things, okay? And you're gonna subscribe and you're gonna start receiving these, but it's also gonna like unlock older articles and older, but still current. And so then, for example, for tomorrow, you're gonna look at the chapters for this week. So this week is equal employment, strategy, employee performance, job analysis, talent management, personnel planning, okay? So you're going to look for a couple articles or podcast on any of those topics. Choose one of those topics from this week that is interesting to you. You're gonna listen or read, and then you're gonna report to your classmates what you read on that topic, okay? And then your classmates are gonna read what you found out and they're gonna comment. And you guys are gonna discuss it. So then next week on Tuesday, you've got the chapters for that week. You're gonna choose something for that week, okay? And so the link this week gives you all of those, gives you some options of where you can find current stuff. You can also Google and look for current topics. But I figured that giving you guys a list of what the industry considers some of the best would give you a really nice list to start from, okay? So that's the discussion forum. Any questions on that before we move on from that topic?
So we need to have our answer posted before class on Tuesday?
By midnight on Tuesday. We don't have class
Okay.
on Tuesday. We have class on Monday and Wednesday.
Okay.
Then by Friday, you guys need to have a topic selected for your research paper, and you need to submit what that topic is going to be. And any current topic in HR or any specialty within HR that is of interest to you is acceptable. You're going to be writing a 10-page paper. Okay. I am happy to schedule time with the librarian to talk to us, but I would schedule outside of Monday and Wednesday if you guys think that you need extra help with finding articles. So think about that. And on Wednesday, I will be asking you if anybody wants some extra sessions set up with the librarian, where we would do a live session. I would invite a librarian in on a Tuesday or on a Thursday to come in and talk to us. So I want an answer on Wednesday if you guys want that scheduled. If everybody feels like I know how to go to the library, I know how to do this, I'm not going to waste my time or yours with that. But even if there's like 2 or 3 of you who say, I really want that help, then I will schedule it. Okay. So be thinking about the paper. And then on Wednesday, if you have questions about the paper, we can spend some time talking about that. And I'm more than happy to stay later on Wednesday as well to answer more questions about the paper. Do some digging, do some thinking about it before class, okay? So that on Wednesday we can have a really good discussion on that. And then just before, we just have a few minutes before 4, I wanted to point out a few things on the topic of sexual harassment. So in chapter 2, we talk about sexual harassment, and I'm going to just briefly talk about the law. I used to teach, I used to do training in sexual harassment for corporations. And basically, there are laws in the US that protect employees against being hurt by discrimination or by sexual advances or simply by being made uncomfortable because of sexual innuendos or problems, okay? And this isn't a topic that gets talked about very much, and so I wanted to give you guys just a very basic framework. And the basic framework goes like this, and people don't realize how simple it is. We think of sexual harassment as someone making overt, strong, blatant, you must have sex with me on the job or you're getting fired, okay? People think of sexual harassment as something that bad. It is rarely, it does happen, but it is rarely that bad. And that is called quid pro quo. And quid pro quo is Latin for, in popular English, we might say tit for tat. You do this for this, okay? But the far majority of sexual harassment cases are more on along the lines of bullying or teasing or making people uncomfortable. So the law really says sexual content of any kind has no place in the work environment. And if an employee is uncomfortable and says stop, and the person does not stop, it is sexual harassment. Okay? And employees don't understand that. So let me illustrate. You could be working in an environment where you come in Monday morning and you have coworkers in another cubicle and they are talking about everything they did that weekend, and it is very explicit. They're not talking to you. They're just sharing and they're having a blast because they have no problem with what they did. Okay? But you have to listen to it because the cubicle does not block the sound. And you don't want to hear it. If you keep your mouth shut, it is not sexual harassment because you did not say stop. Is that clear? Like, it isn't sexual harassment until you say, hey guys, this makes me uncomfortable. Would you please take this conversation somewhere else? If they continue, it is sexual harassment. Now, it is inappropriate that they're talking about it, but it is not sexual harassment until you say stop and they don't. Another scenario, someone teasing you, someone giving you a hard time about not having a boyfriend or girlfriend. If you don't like it and you say stop and they don't stop, it becomes sexual harassment. If you are shy and you don't say anything, unfortunately, the law will say it was not sexual harassment because you didn't open your mouth. And I keep hammering that away because that's what moves something from uncomfortable and inappropriate to actual sexual harassment. And then the chapter will talk about what are the steps you take, and we can cover that in the chapter. And yeah, and there's all sorts of other things. I mean, there's a lot of blatant stuff. It could be like jokes. It can be innuendos. I had an employer, no, I had coworkers tell me one time they would like me better if my skirts were shorter. That's sexual harassment if I have the courage to say, that's inappropriate, guys, don't ever say that again. If they say it again, it's sexual harassment. The first time they say it and I say, stop, it is not sexual harassment. It is inappropriate. It doesn't become sexual harassment until they repeat it and do it again.
Is there anything that counts as sexual harassment immediately the first time someone says it?
Yes.
Okay.
Hands in the wrong place.
Okay.
Physical contact. The quid pro quo, the blatant, you must sleep with me in any shape or form, you know, whatever comes out of their mouth, gestures, anything that's blatantly sexual the first time and you say no, but you have to say no.
How about if
because that happens on the job all the time and people like it. Yes, Mishi?
How about if no physical contact, but I his eye looking on somewhere on my body, let's say my on my breast.
They could be looking at your breast. They could be looking at your behind. They could, you know, body parts. It's very, very difficult for you to prove because they're going to deny it.
Professor,
Mm-hmm.
I have a question. So you mentioned that it's not sexual harassment unless you say something, but how would HR know what, like, it's your word against, you know what I'm saying? Like, because you can go and say, oh yeah, they were saying this stuff and I was uncomfortable, but then like, it's your word against, you know, everything else, because how would that protect the other person too?
So that's where it becomes really tricky. Okay. So you immediately go to your computer and you document it and you email it to an email outside of the company so that you have a record in the company and outside of the company. Now, if that is illegal to do, because some companies will fire you for emailing yourself outside of the company. Okay, that does happen. Then you take your cell phone and you write a note in your cell phone. You have to document it, date, time, location, and description of event. And you want it to have a date and time stamp, which is why the email is really nice. And the reason I say you want it sent outside of the company is because if it's an employer, if it's someone above you, they can delete it. There's been cases where they have illegally gone in and deleted employees' emails.
If you emailed it to yourself, like to an outside email, wouldn't that cover you under like the whistleblower laws or something?
Yes, but if the company has policies that don't allow it, like a lawyer's office, they will fire you for having emailed something outside of the company. So in a law firm, you cannot do that. You have to have a different method. Companies will accept, HR offices will accept a notebook where you take notes and you write everything down in the notebook. You have to have consistent notes and it has to be embedded in a bunch of other notes.
Professor, if it is the handwriting, it can be made up, right?
Yes, it can all be made up.
It cannot. I think it can, but
yeah, it can.
Yeah. Oh.
You could be a crazy person trying to get even at someone that you hate. That happens.
Yes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah. And then that other person is trying to prove that they're innocent. And that has happened, guys. I mean, this is one of the most complicated topics in HR. And I know we're over already. We can come back and talk about this more. It's an area that I feel very strongly about because our students leave school very unprepared for what's out there. I've had students tell me that they have had to sleep with employers to be able to keep their jobs and not know what to do, so they've slept with their employer. And by the way, 15% of the cases, and it's gone up. The last I heard was 1 year, the highest year that I've heard, 23% of the cases were men being sexually harassed. So and men get sexually harassed by women, female supervisors, but homosexual men get harassed by straight men as well. So there's that. And men did not feel that they had a voice or that they dared say anything, and they are finally feeling like they are protected enough that they can speak up when there is a problem. Yes, you can be sexually harassed by, a woman can be sexually harassed by another woman. A man can be sexually harassed by another man. You can both be straight. You can have the same sexual orientation or be of different sexual orientations. It does not matter. So one of the biggest lawsuits and sexual harassment lawsuits that has taken place was a company where their water fountain, and this was in what year? This was when I was teaching at WAU. So it's 8 years or so ago. There was, it was a little game that a group of guys did just for fun. And the water fountain was in the stairway between floors. And so these guys took pictures of the women going up the stairs after they drank water and posted the pictures. And basically they asked, match the faces. So there was a picture of the woman's face and the woman's behind. And they wanted, stupid little game. And yeah, the women found out that this was going on, and it ended up in actually a really big lawsuit and a sexual harassment suit as well. But there was a huge number of men in the company involved in the game. And a lot of men got fired for playing this little game of Match the Faces. So anyway, we can come back and talk about it a little bit more if you guys have more questions. But when I re-record chapter 2, which I'll do after this class this evening and post it so you guys have it for tomorrow, I'll go through what the steps are that you take as well. Okay. What are the formal steps that you need to take to document, and then if you're going to turn it into HR. But there's a lot of fear, and rightly so, when you have to turn something like this in. Because even though you're protected, a lot of times once you file a complaint, it's really hard to stay employed in that job, even though you're protected. Because life becomes very, very complicated and very difficult. So, anyway. Any questions or comments before we close?
Yes. So the skill exercises, if we attend the Zoom sessions, we don't turn anything in for those?
Nope.
So we turn just the quizzes and the forms we turn stuff in for?
Correct.
And the case study is something we turn in as well? Yes. Okay.
Case studies, read through those. You should be able to start working on those. There's 2 case studies. They're due spread out on Fridays. And there's directions for them. Remind me, I can talk about them more on Wednesday. And I already put grades in for today's exercise for most of you guys. Okay, so Millie was not here. Eddie was not here. James was here. So,
and I just want to remind you again to please change the date for the quiz, so we
yes,
can.
I already changed it for the first 3 days, and I will continue changing them.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. So all the dates for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are changed, and I'll continue changing the ones for the future.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good evening, guys.
Bye.
Bye.